Michael Chen wiped the sweat from his brow as he put the finishing touches on a restored 1967 Mustang Fastback, its Highland green paint gleaming under the LED workshop lights. The familiar scent of leather conditioner and metal polish filled the air, a perfume he'd grown to love over 2 decades of breathing life back into classic cars. His warehouse, a former industrial space, he transformed into a state-of-the-art restoration facility, represented everything he'd worked for since immigrating to America 15 years ago. The journey to ownership hadn't been easy. He'd started as a mechanic's apprentice, learning English from repair manuals and customer conversations. Every penny saved from fixing everyday sedans went toward his dream of restoring classic cars. When the opportunity to buy this warehouse came up, most people thought he was crazy. The building's previous owner had practically given it away, claiming the location next to the Royal Oaks luxury condos would be nothing but trouble. Michael had laughed it off then, but that warning would soon prove prophetic. He'd poured his heart, soul, and savings into the renovation. The rusty corrugated walls were replaced with modern insulated panels. The cracked concrete floor was transformed into smooth, epoxy-coated perfection. Climate control systems maintained ideal temperature and humidity for pristine restorations. Each workstation was equipped with specialized tools that would make any car enthusiast envious. The security system alone cost more than his first year's rent at his old shop, but protecting his clients' valuable vehicles was worth every dollar. The location, despite its proximity to the uppity Royal Oaks development, had seemed perfect. The industrial zoning meant no restrictions on his work hours, and the spacious parking lot could accommodate dozens of cars waiting for restoration. His clients, mostly wealthy collectors who appreciated his attention to detail, had no trouble finding the place. Some even lived in Royal Oaks themselves, though they were the minority among the residents. As Michael ran his hand along the Mustang's flawless finish, he allowed himself a moment of pride. This warehouse wasn't just a building, it was his American dream made real. Each restored car that left his shop carried a piece of his reputation, his craftsmanship, his dedication to perfection. He'd built something special here, something that proved all those years of struggle had been worth it. Little did he know that his dream was about to collide head-on with the entitled expectations of the Royal Oaks HOA, and the battle that would follow would test everything he'd built. It started with a single Mercedes taking up 2 spaces in his private lot, then a BMW, then a Tesla. Within weeks, his security cameras revealed a disturbing pattern. Every evening, a woman in a designer suit, later identified as HOA President Karen Matthews, was directing residents to park in his lot, complete with a rehearsed speech about how that empty warehouse space is just going to waste anyway. The final straw came when he found his own clients couldn't access the warehouse because of the wall of luxury vehicles blocking the entrance. "Mr. Chen," Karen's voice dripped with condescension during the HOA meeting, "surely you understand that our residents' Maseratis and Porsches can't just park on the street." She adjusted her pearl necklace, sharing knowing looks with other board members. "Besides, your little car hobby hardly requires that much space." Michael's hands clenched under the table as she continued. "We could make things very difficult for businesses that don't cooperate with community needs." The threat was clear, but so was. Michael turned his restoration expert's attention to detail toward gathering evidence. He installed 4 additional 4K cameras, capturing Karen's daily parking directions to residents. His lawyer nearly dropped his coffee when Michael played the audio of Karen announcing, "The HOA has secured overflow parking arrangements," a complete fabrication. But the smoking gun came from a sympathetic resident. An email from Karen explicitly claiming she had negotiated parking rights with the warehouse owner, dated 3 months after she'd started using his lot. The operation kicked off at exactly 3:17 a.m., deliberately timed between the return of late-night partiers and early morning joggers. 8 tow trucks moved in like a choreographed dance, their drivers having rehearsed the sequence the day before in an empty lot. Michael stood in his office, watching his security feeds as 31 vehicles were removed with military precision. The cherry on top? Karen's prized Bentley was the first to go. its custom HOA BOS license plate gleaming under the tow truck's lights. The morning chaos exceeded even Michael's expectations. Karen arrived at 7 a.m. to find a ghost town of empty parking spaces and a crowd of furious residents. Her face turned from confusion to rage when she spotted Michael calmly drinking coffee in his doorway. "You can't do this," she shrieked, her designer heels clicking frantically across the empty lot. "Actually," Michael replied, pulling out a thick binder of documentation, "I already did." As if on cue, his lawyer arrived, carrying copies of every email, photo, and video showing the HOA's months of unauthorized use and attempted intimidation. The story spread through local news like wildfire. Small business owner stands up to HOA bullies. Residents discovered their hefty HOA fees had been paying for Karen's legal defense in 3 other lawsuits. Michael's evidence sparked an audit that revealed years of mismanagement. In the end, Karen and 2 other board members resigned in disgrace. The new HOA president, a retired judge who'd had his own car towed, worked with Michael to establish clear parking boundaries and even contracted his restoration services for the community's annual car show. Michael's business doubled, with former HOA critics becoming his most loyal customers. The warehouse that was supposed to be nothing but trouble had become a symbol of standing up to petty tyranny, one tow at a time.